Hi folks, in this video and PowerPoint, we're going to have a look at clouds and the fickle subject and trying to kind of put some understanding and simplify what is actually quite a complex subject. I'll do my best to simplify it. For now though, and the reason we simplify it is partly because when I was learning all of this, and on my theory course, which seems like many moons ago now, I actually found clouds really quite complicated, and I got very frustrated with not being able to link them all together. Not helped by the fact that every single cloud book and picture is different. Hindsight's wonderful, because in reality, you look outside now, and every single cloud formation is different. So no wonder they can't pull a picture together and put it in the book. So let's try and simplify it. I made that my mission when I first started teaching the Shore-Based Nav courses. So what do we have? Let's go into a little bit of a kind of a Latin lesson to start with. So we've got cirrus, cumulus, stratus, and nimbus. Cirrus, kind of fibrous or kind of hair-like, and I've got a few more answers for that coming up. Cumulus is kind of a heaped cloud. Stratus, kind of a layer. And nimbus, anything that's got nimbus in the name, is rain-bearing. So, looking at this picture, and this is by no means all the clouds that we can possibly come across. There are about 40 to 50. But even simplifying this page, there's a number of clouds which I would say know and know very well, and then everything else will kind of fall into place around it. Trying to simplify it even simpler for a minute, in my slightly pessimistic view of Scottish weather, if the clouds are white, it means it's not going to rain, and if they're grey, it means it's about to rain or it's raining. And we can use that to kind of pick our way through these clouds. So, number one, we are going to look at this cloud here, the stratus cloud. Thin, wispy strands, kind of hair-like, and that indicates that a low pressure is starting to make its way in. Yeah, let's go back to the previous page. We've got a frozen cirrus cloud. That's what the name cirrus means. High, frozen, doesn't do a lot, but it's one very good indicator that the pressure system is going to start making its way in, and the pressure is going to get lower, which in turn will create crappier weather, probably a low pressure system. Then we can move on. And it's anyone's kind of pick as to where you go now with these high clouds. You're probably going to move into this category, cirrostratus. Still frozen, still got cirrus in the name, but it's just starting to layers a few more clouds now. Then we move into this clump of clouds here, so altostratus. We move into the kind of middle layer. And you'll notice that the clouds have done two things. They've got lower, and because they've got lower, they've got grayer. And that means they're starting to thaw out, and consequently, that means that rain is not very far away. So then we can bring in outer cumulus here. Sometimes you kind of get heaped, fluffy versions that layer, but the ones I really want to concentrate on next is this one. The nimbostratus, the first of the heavy rain clouds. Just as the warm front is approaching you, you're going to get very wet. Nimbo rain-bearing stratus layer. Then we move into the middle bit, and we've got stratus, so the warm sector in between the warm front and the cold front. We've got our stratus cloud. Doesn't do a great deal other than give us a lot of drizzle, kind of fine mist, etc. Then, and just because of the size of it, I've got to change my icon size. So we've got this very large cloud here, so the anvil-topped cumulonimbus cloud. This is the thunder cloud. Thunder and lightning, as we can see from this picture. Thunder, snow, hail, depending on the time of year, or just heavy, squally showers. Then we move back and we look at what we call cumulus. And this is the cloud that will come after the cold front when the weather is generally improving. One pressure system has moved through, it's opened the door for the next one to move in, but there's a nice little section of good weather. And the other name for cumulus is fair weather clouds, fair weather cumulus clouds. So we've got 7 clouds there on that page. And what I try and teach on the theory courses is know these 7 clouds, understand the definitions of what we're going to get from them, and everything else you can kind of infill around and we can start matching cloud names up. Okay. So, cirrus clouds, high level and wispy and frozen. Alto, kind of mid layer, not doing a great deal. Nimbo, or kind of nimbus, rain bearing, so that's these clouds here around about a warm front. Stratus, or strato, layered. Cumulo, or cumulus, is fluffy and heat. And rightly so, we can start combining these clouds. So nimbostratus, cumulostratus, altostratus, and we're starting to kind of bring what we're going to expect of the clouds together. So this is a kind of a breakthrough, kind of a cut through of a low pressure system. But we're going to concentrate on where the clouds and the rain are at the moment. So starting over here, you can see the progression of high, thin, wispy, frozen clouds. Cirrostratus, it starts to layer but still frozen. Altostratus, nimbostratus under the warm front here. Drizzle under our stratus cloud, and cumulonimbus. And this is just another slight way of looking at it as we start to see the change in the clouds. These 2 arrows here indicate kind of where the warm air is getting pushed, so kind of warm air rising, which as the further the warm air kind of rises, it cools, but it also kind of defrosts everything on the way up as well. So cirrus into kind of our cirrostratus, altostratus, so it's starting to layer. Altocumulus sometimes crop up here, but you can easily bypass altostratus and go straight to nimbostratus. In the middle section, stratus, layer, possibly fog, depending on the visibility, kind of low-lying clouds. And then it starts to get a little bit interesting with the cumulonimbus clouds just in front of the cold front. And then finish it all off, the last section of the low pressure as it moves across us is we get cumulus clouds, some kind of white fluffy ones. And generally the weather is improving all the time. Another really excellent indicator of what the weather is going to do is the pressure, the barometric pressure, normally measured in millibars. And a really simple way to remember this and keep it in the same level as the clouds is the pressure will follow what the clouds do. So our pressure, let me find my icon. So the pressure here is going to do that as these clouds get lower and lower. Okay, the pressure in the middle will kind of layer off, and then the pressure gradually will go up. And what you might find is gradually The pressure may do that as it kind of levels off as another squall hits. Then it'll go up a little bit, then another squall will hit, then it'll go up a little bit, and then another squall will go up. On average, the pressure will be rising as that cold front passes through and kind of pushes away. I'm just going to clear this couple of drawings. Okay, so this, up until now, we've had kind of computer-generated images. Let's look at some real clouds. This is the cirrus cloud. So we can see the high, thin, kind of wispy strands kind of whipping around there, really identifiable on a summer's day that the pressure is going to change and a low pressure is on its way in. We then start to slowly move into our stratus clouds. So this is high, thin layers of the cirrostratus. Still frozen, still a lot of blue sky, still a lot of sun. So cirrostratus here. Starting on these two to move towards altostratus. And at this particular point here, we just start to lose the sun. And that's the indication that the clouds are kind of mid-layered and we're probably not very far away from getting wet. Okay. Nimbostratus, layer of rain. It's low, it's grey, possibly blue, quite possibly black in some cases, depending if there's snow involved. And we're going to get very wet. We can see that wall of rain progressing towards us. And on a really well-developed warm front, we can see on an app or the weather forecast, we can see about 7 to 10 hours of solid rain, possibly even more. Then we move into our stratus cloud. Low, but we can see the difference if I just flick back a couple of photos to that one. Sorry, my PowerPoint went a bit weird for a second there. Blue with lots and lots of rain, and then it's grey because all the moisture's disappeared and all we've got left is low-lying cloud. And yes, it's more than possible to get a little bit of drizzle, but quite possibly it's just going to be low-lying cloud. Then we move into our cumulonimbus. These are towering thunder clouds. I sometimes refer to these as growing clouds because if you're in the Med and you spend any time watching clouds down there, you'll see these clouds kind of roll in with the squalls because they're not persistent, they're not there all the time. Once there's enough moisture in the sky, you'll get very wet under it, but it's a localized squally shower. And you'll see these kind of white clouds moving and evolving, and the lower part is grey. Sorry, PowerPoint and my mouse are not talking to each other today. The last cloud is what we call cumulus, so fair weather cumulus clouds. They're white, fluffy, two locations. So we've spent a lot of time talking about a low pressure system here. And these cumulus clouds are last in the line of the clouds as the pressure system moves through after the cold front. But you also get them on a nice warm summer's day when we talk about sea breezes as well. And those clouds have just formed by the moisture getting radiated off the land, but we'll leave sea breeze for another video. Okay, folks, thank you very much for watching that. And we've got another video which we will upload to our YouTube page on interpreting forecasts. As always, if you've got any questions, then please don't hesitate to get in contact.